You know the vibes. Welcome to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. And very soon, we're on the doorstep of 2K24. More on that in coming episodes. But in the meantime, I am back once again, Mo Mootsie, alongside the legendary Mr. BJ Armstrong to break down everything you need to know from the NBA. BJ, how are you doing today?
Well, Mo, it's the eve of free agency. A lot of calls, I just love saying this when people say it. I never say it in my, it's not in my vocabulary, but I love it. Hey, how's it going? I'm just working the phones today, Mo. I'm just working the phones. I'm working the phones. I'm working the phones, Mo. I'm working the phones.
Well, so. BJ can't ever be working the phones because that implies you know how phones work. I'm going to share a story with our listeners. I hope you don't mind me sharing this story. One of the funniest phone calls I ever got. It was about 4 a.m. here in the UK, and BJ rings me, and he says, "Mo, I need your help." And I'm thinking, shit, it's 4 a.m. It's an emergency. He goes,
right.
I'm at this restaurant and they don't have menus. They just have this thing that you scan with your phone to see the menu. How do I do it? I had to wake up and explain to BJ how to point his phone at a QR code.
I apologize for that.
No, that was one of my that was one of my favorite memories because it was so funny.
I apologize, but I have no idea. Other than to make a call, Mo, I really don't know how these phones work.
I'm getting BJ a Nokia. For his birthday, I'm getting him a Nokia.
My wife won't allow me to get a flip phone. She says I'm not old enough yet to carry a flip phone. I want a flip phone. I'm so tired of these.
No, you want the Nokia, you can play Snake on it. That's the old school classic. I don't know if you guys had that over there, but that was the classic over here. Sony Ericsson Walkman
I just want a
phone.
flip phone, and then that's it. No one calls anymore anyway, so I figure, you know what? If you really need me, you'll call me. If not, that's fine. I can't text. Sorry.
BJ said to me, I'm just going to have an iPad. And then when I'm out and about, I'm just going to have a phone. So if you need me, text me. I said, BJ, it costs me like £4 per text to text America. This is not going to happen. The whole budget for the show is going to go up in text.
I can't. So, but anyway. I'm still working through it. I'm working through it.
Yes, sir. Stay on job. I'm working as well. I'm actually working in Paris this weekend.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to be out there with Jordan Brand. I don't want to say too much because, when things fall through, you don't want to get too happy too early. But if all goes to plan, I will be spending the afternoon with not one, not two, not three, but 4 Jordan Brand athletes for an exclusive sit-down conversation with yours truly. Shout out to Jordan Brand every time. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
I'm excited, BJ. I'm excited. I mean, that's all I can say.
So 4. Well, wow. Should we guess who?
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that game right now.
We're
not doing that game. I don't want to say too much in case it does. Things always go wrong. They've got all these protests and riots in France right now. I just saw Foot Locker was getting looted. I've seen, them setting fires to things. So it's crazy right now. Like we've had to change the venue for this event at the last minute. So it's all up in the air. But if you guys pray for me that this goes ahead, this may be the biggest event of my career so far. So I'm pretty excited. It also coincides with free agency. So I'm a little bit sad that I won't be able to do a podcast tomorrow when free agency begins because, preparation is the key. But we will be back here after the first couple of days of free agency to review it all for you and break it down. So right now we're taping this at midnight UK time on the 30th of June. And the biggest story is that James Harden is opting into his contract and the Sixers are working with him on a trade. Now, I expect the trade to be done within the next 5 hours because if it gets to midnight on the East Coast, then that adds an extra $6 million to the cap hold for Philly or some sort of contract thing. So all I know is if they got to do a deal, they should get it done soon or it may cost them a little bit more money. BJ, James Harden, surprised by this decision?
Well, there's been some rumblings, Mo, throughout, the course of free agency, or of course, since the season has ended, I should say, that James Harden was not happy there. It wasn't Doc Rivers. It wasn't any of that. He just wanted, I'm guessing, to turn back or to return back to the West Coast. And, there was rumblings. So now we know that was the case. Now, the big question is, where does he want to go? Okay. We know the cap space teams, right?
But they're all
York,
kind of bottom teams right now in terms of actually having the cap space. Teams like New York can maneuver to make some cap space and do a trade. But right now, it can't just be he's going to go out and sign with someone, because the rumors were about the Rockets. But we said on the show the other day, it doesn't make sense for him to be on the Rockets because they've got so many young players that need to develop and have playing time, X, Y, Z. So it seems the rumblings now are about a few teams. The Clippers, the Suns, imagine that. And just adding another scoring guard. The Clippers, the Knicks, the Miami Heat are said to be interested as well. There are a lot of teams right now that are in rumors. I imagine he would go to the Western Conference because, as you've told us on the show, teams like to get their guys over to the other conference so they don't have to face them very often. But where are you expecting James Harden to go?
Well, I think he is probably would prefer. Would prefer one of the teams that are already in the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
that's
the Clippers been trying to move Paul George. I think that makes sense if they're trying to offload Paul George. James Harden led the league in assists. I mean, he gets a lot of flack, but I think that could work very well. And Steve Ballmer has the deepest pockets in the NBA, perhaps. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the Clippers would probably be a destination for him. Especially with the injury history of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, that's probably a place. I could see that. I mean, I definitely can see that. They did not. They elected not to get what's the kid's name from Indiana University, played at Houston, the shooter for the Clippers.
Eric Gordon.
Yeah, Eric Gordon. They did not get, they
declined his option because that would have cost them $115 million in luxury tax.
So I think if there is a team that could absorb this, I think it would be a team that is clearly into the luxury tax. And, that being the Warriors, Clippers, those teams who would absorb that. I could see the Knicks absorbing that somehow. I don't think that, I don't think Philly would be trying to do business with New York, but you never know. So I think he would probably return back. Now, there's always been some rumblings about him going back to Houston. They do have, they have cap space, but we'll see. I'm really a little surprised by this because of the relationship with Daryl Morey.
Yeah, because it was like, if you're going to opt in, it's going to be an extension, or you're just going to stay in Philly. And if you want to go elsewhere, it's going to be in free agency. So I'm very surprised.
But I think what this says clearly is the following. I think this is what this says. If it was left up to Daryl Morey, I think Daryl Morey gives him whatever he's looking for, or what, max or close to it.
They have the relationship from Houston, and if it's up to Daryl Morey, he might even build the whole team around him. I'm just going to call it how I see it.
Right. However, what this is saying is that the owners, the ownership group for the Sixers are saying, no, they're going to get themselves in position to take advantage of this new salary cap.
Yeah.
Okay. Of the new collective bargaining agreement. And they're probably willing to do a 1+1 or something to that nature. And I'm going to assume, without knowing, that our good friend James Harden is looking for a 4-year deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking for big money as well, like 45 a season.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. However, I think the thing for us to watch out for is who's going to absorb this and what's the length of the contract. I would be shocked if someone does do 4 years, but let's see how it plays out. There could be a team that's willing to absorb it and what he brings to a team at this stage of his career.
So the interesting part for me is not where James Harden goes necessarily. It's the domino effect that follows that, okay? Because let's say, for example, he went to the Clippers. and the Clippers sent back, some salary and some picks and whatever. Then if you're Philly, you could call Portland and say, hey, if Dame Lillard wants to move on, we've got this package of players that we could give to you guys. And that could be similar for other teams around the association. Because first of all, it's worth noting, how many times have you seen a player walk away from a team that has the current reigning MVP?
Good question.
But
James, James,
a player of this MVP caliber, rightfully so. He's won an MVP and he puts up great numbers. It might actually work out better for Philly because all season long we said their team is best when 2 of the 3 stars are playing, so they might actually be okay. Yeah. But the domino effect, because bear in mind, Joel Embiid wants to win a championship. Now, whatever your thoughts are on James Harden, him leaving the team is obviously a hit to that, because you'd rather have James Harden than not have him. So they need to get a return that's going to help them try and compete for a championship. Otherwise, the next domino that might fall would be Joel Embiid asking out of Philly as well. So there are a lot of pieces here that this could trigger.
I'm a little surprised by, again, and the reason being is because of the relationship. Now, I normally would say, it's the NBA, things happen, guys move on, so forth and so on. To see James Harden do this, and they're going to work with him, just lets me know that teams are like, it may be a little, and as you know, and in full disclosure, I'm a huge Doc Rivers fan. Okay, I love Doc. I think
we know on this podcast. We know
amazing. I think he's an amazing coach. However, you can clearly see that there's more going on behind the scenes than
it's Nick Nurse's team now. Maybe James didn't want to play 40 minutes a night for Nick Nurse, because that's what he had those guys in Toronto doing.
This is what I think. I've said this about 15 years ago, but I want to say it again. When you find your team, even if you're not a star, but if you find your team, meaning you find a team where you're going to get minutes and shots, stay there. I don't care. I don't care what happens, because let me tell you something. All of these disgruntled players, in my opinion, it never works out. Right. And I first started saying this with Dwight Howard. Like, you were getting all the minutes and all the shots in Orlando. What'd you want out for?
I think injuries had a part to play in his career, though, because after that shoulder surgery, but I agree.
Then
you're the guy.
You see James Harden. Yeah, you see
Kyrie Irving,
Paul George, Kyrie Irving. All these players. If you find something that works, Mo, do it, because for an athlete, there's a short shelf life. Now, LeBron James, there are exceptions to the rule, right? You extend your shelf life to, maybe 7 to 10 years, right? If you're lucky. When you find something that works, James Harden, you got all of the shots and you had all of the minutes. You had
literally
all
of the shots. The whole team was built around
you. What was wrong with that, Mo? So then you start going to other places, and the same thing. Well, I'm going to I just want to win. Well, you know what, Mo? Once you learn how to play with freedom, things change. You come down, and all of a sudden, Mo, you can't just take a shot because you want a heat check. Now you got to move it because, those are the things. Now, if that's where you're at in your career, that's one thing. But now to see James Harden, an MVP player, now he's going on his third team now since Houston?
Houston, Brooklyn, Philly, and now wherever he goes to. And you guys will probably, by the time this episode comes out, he'll probably be traded. So
yes. So I would argue, once you find something that works, Do it.
And a name that's been floated out for the Sixers if Harden does move on is Kyrie Irving. BJ, explain to me.
Why? You got
explain to me
no.
why the hell? No, not even for them. For Dallas, why would Dallas want to sign and trade Kyrie for James Harden when James Harden and Luka Doncic, like Luka is like a European James Harden-esque player? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean that doesn't even make sense. But look, I think right now everyone is trying to stir up interest.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the truth, Mo. If we had the salary seats in front of us, we would know that's impossible. No, I shouldn't say impossible.
A sign and trade for them both is technically possible if they both agree to the exact same contract.
Highly unlikely. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Highly unlikely.
Miami is another team mentioned for James Harden in this one. I mean, there's a whole bunch of teams that are going on around here. And a lot of times, it's just rumors. It's free agency. Everyone gets excited. Everyone's got sources. There's like burner accounts popping up on Twitter right now and X, Y, Z. I won't believe it until it's real, okay? But the rumor that came out this morning or earlier today was that Kyrie Irving is going to meet with the Phoenix Suns. Now, there's no possible way for the Phoenix Suns to get him unless they do a sign and trade and DeAndre Ayton goes to Dallas. Or Kyrie is crazy enough to take the veterans minimum for 1 year to win a championship in Phoenix. He just signed a new footwear deal with Anta.
A lot of times, Mo, a lot of times in life, Mo, it's not what you say, it's what you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Mo, if I offer to you, Mo, the max, I'm offering, say, hey,
I'm taking
let's pretend you and I.
I'm taking it.
Okay. What is Mo saying when he says, when I read in the newspaper that Mo is also going to take additional meetings after I've already offered him the max?
I want a bonus with my max. I want your parking spot in the car park.
So Mo, what is he really saying here without saying it? So one of two things is happening. Either Dallas is not going to offer him the max, or he doesn't want to be there. Either way, this doesn't seem like it's going to end well.
Well, I think part of the reason why he wanted out of Brooklyn was their contract extension would have been predicated along a bunch of incentives, maybe not incentives, but, minimum games played and X, Y, Z, and not as many guaranteed years as he wanted. And maybe the Dallas Mavericks are doing the same thing, just, because we know Kyrie's career, kind of risk mitigation. And he wants just the full max contract. He doesn't want any of this extra stuff. So I get it. It's a leverage play. I don't think that he goes to the Phoenix Suns at all. I think it would be hilarious if he did. It would really make me laugh if he did. And they traded Ayton and they just had Booker, Beal, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. I don't know. They'd score 200 points a game and they'd give up 225 points a game. I think it would be hilarious. There's a part of me that would love to see it. I just don't think it materializes in real life. Another player that's had a lot of rumors about him today is Kyle Kuzma. The Houston Rockets are rumored to be in the mix. The Sacramento Kings are rumored to be in the mix. The Detroit Pistons, there were even some whispers over that. Where do you think Kuz is going to end up?
That's an interesting one. For some reason, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really been following that one closely. But it just seems like an Atlanta Hawk move to me.
Yep, we trade away Joe Collins and we'll take Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, it just seems like that's what it seems like to me. He just seems like he's going to go to Atlanta. They're going to get whatever, he'll get DeAndre Hunter or something, whatever the case may be.
So like a sign
but he
and
just
trade.
seems, yeah. So it's what it seems like to me. It just seems like he just looks like an Atlanta Hawk player to me. So I don't know where he's going, but I'm going to guess he's probably will command anywhere from 25 to 30 million a year, which isn't in this market. I think he's earned that. based on the market and what people are saying. And so I overall, I think that would be a good pickup for someone who's willing to pay whatever the dollar he commands on the open market.
Russell Westbrook is apparently not a dead set lock to return to the Clippers. I don't know why not, given what he did for them when he went there. I thought he fitted in perfectly. LA native as well, especially with what the Clippers are trying to do in the community and on the court as well. He delivered so much for them in the playoffs.
I can see that. I can see that. And the reason I can see that is because I think
from the Clippers side or the Russ's side?
From the Clippers side, from both.
Okay.
And the reason being is because, no one has said this, but I think we have to, I think everyone's thinking it. They're going to have to do something with one or both of their star players. They've missed too many games.
Yep. They've been shopping Paul George, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to do something with one or both of those guys. Okay. I mean, so I think with them going into a new building, I think they're looking to possibly, I could see James Harden going there. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have anything else to do with, I could see a Harden or Kawhi Leonard or some mixture of players going back in a sign and trade. I could see that. And I think they have the money to do it. So we'll see. And I think I think
the Clippers makes the most sense.
Yeah. And I think that's why I think it's not a sure lock that he goes back to the Clippers. Because I don't think if you get James Harden, you can't put Russell next to him. So I think that's probably the, kind of wait and see game. If James Harden comes there, that's not a good fit for Russell.
We saw it in Houston.
And then Russell will go.
You're going to trade away all your bigs and do what the Rockets did and have the PJ Tucker starting at the 5. Other players who have been in the mix today, Fred VanVleet. The Rockets increasingly focused on pursuing Fred VanVleet, and they can use up a lot of their cap space. They got $64 million of it, and they can give a lot of it to Fred VanVleet on a 2-year deal. I don't know why you'd do that, just given that, you've got 3-4 young guards that are there. Maybe, obviously, I see the benefit of learning from him, but
no, I
playing
see why
time-wise, why would you do that?
Because there's a couple of reasons why you would do it. One, you need leadership. Okay. And leadership always comes with the experience. And you need a guy that is going to lead and understand the game. Now, it's one thing that I've come to understand about today's game. You have to have a guard, play downhill, and you have to have leadership, especially when you have young guys. So with this young team, you're going to need a guy who you're going to give the ball to. Now, if VanVleet is there, he has the ball. Now the other guys got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. See that, and I think Ime Udoka would really like VanVleet as well. The style of
absolutely. They go back to, if I remember correctly, they go back to Toronto. I think Ime was there in Toronto with him, or they have some relationship. But more importantly, I think it's important that you if you're going to have a young team, the first thing is you have to have a leader in the group. And I think Fred VanVleet, the way he plays, because he's not a ball dominant player, right? He's won a championship and he knows how to play off of great players and great talent. So I think VanVleet would be a terrific pickup for them because of his leadership capability and the way the game is played today. Because he can play off the ball. He can play with those guards. He can shoot, catch and shoot. And he's a veteran. I mean, he personifies leadership. I like Fred. I like Freddie's game. I like the way he approaches the game. So I think that would be a good pickup for them, especially at this stage where they're going, if they're trying to, figure out who to keep and who to move or whatever it is with this young group.
I hear that. Name that's also getting significant interest is Brook Lopez. Rumors about the Rockets, which you called the other day. It's now said that the Lakers are interested in bringing back Brook Lopez, who they once had.
Yeah, I bet you they
The
are.
Bucks, he's really kind of essential to the Bucks. I don't think they can afford to lose him at all. What do you think about Brook? Do you think it would take some sort of discount to stay with the Bucks because they can't offer him
I
what
think the Houston
Houston are?
Rockets thing is real. I think the Houston Rockets thing is real.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Houston Rockets are prepared because Fred, and if you can establish at the point of attack with your guard play that you're solid, then you have a rim protector back there who doesn't demand the ball and could play clearly with great players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we know Ime Udoka, we know what he loves. He loves rim protectors and defense. Well, Brook Lopez would be phenomenal. Okay. I just like what and you know what I love about what Houston is doing in free agency, free agency hasn't even started yet. They're in every scenario right now. I think the Brook Lopez thing is real. However, I think this is the Milwaukee's Bucks to lose. Now, Milwaukee is hoping no one wants him because clearly they can't lose him.
Yeah.
If they lose him,
Giannis is leaving in September.
You might as well. They might as well just
trade Giannis,
not sign Middleton, trade Giannis, trade Drew, and just have a rebuild. That's what they should do. So, I think this is great for Brook. There's a lot of interest. Clearly, AD has said he doesn't want to play the center position.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly,
that lasted long.
Clearly, hey, Mo. I said next year every team is going to begin to try to counter Jokic if he wins again this year. But you could see now that the Lakers know if they're going to compete,
yep,
they better get you can already you're already starting to see because this is a copycat league.
And they're trying to poach Bruce Brown as well.
Yeah, that's how this league goes. So Jokic is the one that everyone has Jokic on the board saying, how are we going to defend this guy in the playoffs? You're not going to defend him with no small. I can tell you this. If you have Kevon Looney and Draymond Green, no, that's not big enough now because he's better than he was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get more calls now.
Mm-hmm.
He now you need a big body to play against him. So the Lakers, that makes sense to me. How would they do it? I don't know if that makes sense. But I think the Houston Rockets, they have the money and they can overpay to get him. And if Milwaukee balks a little bit, I think Brook is out of there. He's going to give him every shot because Giannis wants to play with him. Giannis needs him.
Mm-hmm.
If they say we're only going to 20 million, I mean, think about this. Brook just about 3 or 4 years ago was making the minimum. Think about that.
No one wanted him. He was included in that trade with the Lakers.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I love the bigs because the bigs have figured out how to make themselves valuable again. They're back. So good for Brook. I hope he gets all of his money at his age. He is one of the best guys ever. Mo, he's a great guy.
Got to get him on the show.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Loves Star Wars. He's a big Marvel guy. DC Comics. We got to catch him at Disney World. That's where he lives. He lives literally at Disney World. So he's great. So good for him. Good for all the bigs. But I would watch that one closely because I think Milwaukee can't lose him.
It's interesting. Also, another name to watch out for Houston is Dylan Brooks. There are rumors of Patrick Beverley and the Boston Celtics, which I wouldn't actually even be too mad about. But there's a lot of moving parts here. BJ and I are going to be back with you to chop it all up once these moves start happening. BJ, good luck. I know you're going to be working the phones.
You know what,
free
Mo,
agency.
I'm going to be working the phones, Mo. I'm going to be working the phones, just listening to all the rumors, watching, and trying to make a little news myself in between all of the.
I mean, I'm ready. I'm waiting to break that news as well, so I'm here. I'm ready.
So yeah. So we're you're ready. I'm ready. We are ready, and you know, and
Yes, sir.
and as you always say, Mo, you know the vibes.
You do know the vibes. Listen, if any of you guys are out in Paris for Key 54 this weekend, come and say what's up. If you see me, it's going to be a good vibe, good energy. BJ, good luck with free agency. All of you at home, have a fantastic weekend. Appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And most importantly, get buckets.